So now that you're getting 10 hours of sleep available to you, are you being less productive now or workouts dropped off?
Nah, working out the same, probably more. It's been good. Like the amount of time that I spend actually working out. So, like for example, in the morning, I'll work out. I'll do a strength workout or something like that, and then late at night when I don't have to think, I'll jump on the bike or I'll do some sort of cardio or something, just because I still feel like I have A, the energy, and B, like the want to do that sort of stuff. And it's like there's been one big thing that's become apparent to me, and it's the fact that there's no point in using like my daughter, my wife, the fact that I still am tired because it's like it's still uninterrupted sleep, or I'm getting up at like 2:30. It's not like, so even though Florence is getting 10 hours, I'm not getting 10 hours. Like I'll probably be getting half of that good stuff. But you realize that the excuse of being tired still is like, it doesn't mean anything. I actually saw someone put something up a little while ago. They were talking, actually, my wife sent it to me. It was about a pro AFL player here, and he was in that phase of having a little one. And the little one, like, was obviously keeping him up. And it was like this chaotic thing at home when you go from having something so controlled that you can control your sleep, you can control when you eat, what you eat, how you spend your nights and everything like that. So then all of a sudden it's like this chaotic experience of like, you don't know what your little one's going to do. You don't know how they're going to be. You don't know whether they're going to be upset or if they're going to let you eat or anything like that. So everything changes. And it's like, he made a really good point. You can't allow that to dictate what you do as a professional. Like, I'm not saying I'm a professional, but I'm not allowing it to dictate what I can and can't do. You just don't use that as an excuse. I think people do. I think people go, well, my little one is, it's hard with my little one. I can't make it happen. Or my wife or husband, they don't give me the time to let me do what I want to do, or I'm tired and I just can't do it. And it's like, well, they're all like these layered excuses that you're using. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand your little one doesn't let you do something. It doesn't mean you can't get up earlier and go and do it. Your wife or your husband might say, I need you to do this. It's like, yeah, okay, you want to do that. You can't do what you wanted to do now, but you can do it later on. There's no reason why you can't do it later on. You can just prioritize what you want to do, sitting down on the couch or actually maybe jumping on the bike or having a gym session. And then the final one, like tired. I I have never had this little sleep in my life. I don't know how you'd go. I don't know how you'd function. You might you might fall off the edge, but like I've never had this little sleep and felt more productive in terms of like working out and training and that in my life. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's some physiological things, maybe hormonal things that are happening to me right now. I've heard that actually occurs as well, where you have this urge now as a father. It doesn't happen to everyone, but you have this, like, it just feels like, maybe to me, it feels like more of a responsibility. Like, for me to be healthy, to take care of my family, I need to do A, B, C, and D. If I don't do that, then I'm going to turn into a fat slob that can't take care of himself, that is not going to be able to provide for his family. So yeah, it's been such an interesting dynamic getting started as a very new father.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never like looked into it in reality, but like I feel like you don't see like, oh, this professional athlete just had a baby and now you can expect him to be way below par for the next 4 months. Like that doesn't seem to happen. I don't know what's behind it, but it feels like there must be some way that people can get to continue to perform at a high level or whatever they're doing, despite having a baby or lack of sleep or whatever. Maybe it's because they hire nannies or something. I don't know, but in reality, I would imagine there's ways that you can get around and still perform at even at the high level.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I'm not playing or performing at any high level. I mean, I'm performing at my own high level. But for me to continually be able to actually come down, I mean, I haven't done anything today, and I will. I know that I will. I know that it's going to happen. But like for me to be able to come downstairs at 4:30 in the morning, or wake up at 3 and then be down here at 4, or whatever it is, like just because you haven't had that quality of sleep, sure, you might not be able to lift as heavy, or you might not be able to go as far or anything like that, but you still have the capabilities to be able to do something. And I think something is much, much better than doing absolutely nothing. Obviously, it gets to a point too where you've hit this kind of this wall and this barrier where you've kind of, you need to have that break. So, for example, on, I think it was Wednesday, it was Wednesday. I was knackered. Like I needed to have a rest. I had a rest. Bang, straight back at it Thursday, straight back at it Friday. Like it's not like it's anything different to me. So you need to, it is a skill. Like I think it's a skill to listen to your body and to actually do what you're feeling. Like don't go and push the needle and burn the needle, or burn the candle from both ends, so to speak, because it'll catch up with you really, really quick. But then don't use it as an excuse to be like, well, I can't do anything today. No, I don't want to do anything today. I'm too tired. I'm too this and too that. Like you don't have the opportunities to do that, because you need to be there to provide for your family. You need to be there to support your family. You need to be there for yourself to be able to grow and learn and everything like that.
Yeah. The push, understand you spot on with the when to know to push or when to kind of back off is still a hard thing for me. Even like all the college players are back right now, and one of the oldest high school groups playing in nationals. So like we were training together last night, and I was like right on the border of like, should I go, should I not? Because I'd been playing earlier in the week, so like my volume spiked in terms of playing very little for like 6 months, and then playing 2 to 4 times a week now, and still pushing it in the gym. So I was right on the border there, and I think I just barely made it in that, like, it's okay, you can go train today. But I'm sure I was right on the border of like, this is almost too much, and like something bad's gonna happen. So it would have been smarter probably if I didn't go train, but it is what it is. Like if you're in a position where you can handle things a little bit out of your comfort zone physically, then like it's fine. But I don't know. I just wanted to train, and it probably wasn't the best idea, but it it's still fun to go. You just gotta understand, sometimes you can go train anyway, but you have to understand how to manage it during the training. So like it's not sprint all the time. There was a little more walking than usual, a little less dribbling, a little more passing. But it is a skill.
Yeah, you are looking a little dusty today. You look a little bit tired, more tired than usual. Maddie hasn't got his sleep. Oh.
I it's it that's the worst part about late night trainings. Like who starts training at 8:30 at night? That's ridiculous. And then when I got a client at 6:45 the next morning, oh, that is bad news for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what we're living through right now.
Yeah, and I think as us, as like or yourself as a trainer, and working for yourself too, you also have that expectation that you need to go to work. Well, I mean, you've got your other job as well, but most people or most trainers or coaches, like they're still stuck in that realm of, maybe not so much you yourself, sorry, but most trainers are stuck in that realm of like, I need to go to work to earn income to be able to provide for my family. So it's like, you've done a really, really good job. I think it's a cool segue to be able to go like, your online stuff that you've been doing is a great way for you to go, well, I don't necessarily need to work in person with people. I've got this like broad range of people from all over the world who are working online with me, and I don't have to be there at a specific time. Like you made a really valuable point. I think it was last week where you said that like that time in the gym where it's kind of like that, those dead hours you've got, whether it's from 10 or 11 to 3 or 4 in that gap, like you kind of filled that with the online aspect, which to me made a lot of sense. And I think it's a really, really cool way that you've done it. Can you tell people how you've like managed to create the online aspect of Scar Performance?
I don't know. To be fair, I still haven't done a great job of it. And it
Modest.
well, I've done a reasonable job of getting the page to be big, but the actual turning it into a business, I've done rather poorly with. Because there's so many more things than just having like followers. Like if you get a lot of followers, you'll like fall into some business like a blind squirrel finding a nut. Like you'll get some, but it's like unless you have systems and understanding of who you are, what your branding is, what you're selling, all of that, like it's not it's not just a natural consequence of having a lot of followers that you'll have a lot of um clients, a lot of income. Like I think Movement by David Thurin, I
Um,
think. Like
no, I don't know.
Stay Flexy, whatever. He's got something probably close to 2 million followers on Instagram now, but like I think he was well over 1 million before he actually was able to quit like his normal job. Like it's there's people that can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with like 700 followers, and there's plenty of people making 10 grand a year with like 1.5 million followers. So the skill set is very important. And the way you kind of brand it is super important. Like I'm sure there's pages that are like meme pages just posting funny things. And this is getting away from training a little bit, but like there's not really an income source, say. Like you could sell posts like for like to get eyeballs on it for companies, but that's not the most profitable way to do things. So it's not direct like that. Versus like Keegan is set up on Common Success in a way that like that page has like no followers, but there's a ton of people that are bought into it and cash flows a lot. So it's the same thing with in-person training. Like you could have a huge gym, but you have to be able to get people in the door to make the money. So it's frustrating oftentimes for me and a whole bunch of other people, but it is the way it is. It's a skill set like anything else.
Mm-hmm. So obviously there's steps that you're taking to be able to make it more profitable though from your perspective as a coach, because you don't just want to do it and like obviously you're doing it to help people. Like that's the number one thing that you're doing it for. And then I guess that secondary part is like you're getting that income, which is great. Like, but what do you to get yourself started? How did you get yourself started? Was it just kind of figuring out there was a niche in the market that you were good at actually being able to help people with, and then from there it's like, oh, I have to kind of fail a couple of times to realize like this is the way that I want to do it, because I know that we've spoken about it and you've kind of gone like I started here and like it was great for 2 days a week, whatever it was, and then it's like shit, that doesn't actually work, and then like you go to the next bit, it's like yeah, that was great for a little bit longer, but no, it still doesn't work. That's kind of how you manage to get into that online sphere.
Yeah, I mean, it probably was a case of like anything would have worked, but like I kept thinking of things that I thought were better opportunities, and then nothing. So nothing worked. So I've settled on a path now that I'm gonna take like a year and not change it. Even if it sucks for 6 months, like not changing the model. But the page really started without being like a avenue for making money. It was just like I know some things, like how can I get good at delivering this information from my head to people in terms instead of like how can I help people and in turn make money off of it to help more people. It was just like, how can I? The only skill set I thought to acquire when I started the page was how to get more followers instead of like how to turn followers into money and how to turn followers into clients and all of that. So I guess that people have asked me before a couple times now, like, what would you have done differently? I think that's probably the best answer I've thought of so far is not just getting the skill set of how to get more followers, but also of um how to build a business while getting more followers.
Because you've done like an exceptional job. Like I still remember it would have been probably yeah, actually it probably would have been around this time this year where your following like exploded. Maybe a little this time, yeah, oh maybe a little bit later this time last year, where your following exploded. Like I remember when you're at 197 people, and then like you're just not, and I'm like, what is anyone else not seeing this? The
What's
stuff that
going
you're
on?
putting out, yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
would
like
probably have been about 2 to 4 weeks from now that it probably really
mm,
took off.
mm,
But yeah, it was a interesting time period because I don't have the numbers on me in terms of what like if you're looking at page views, which is like a pretty good marker for like how many people are actually interested in your stuff. Following is great, but like page views, like man, I I had a lot of page views and nothing to offer anybody. They
mm.
like wanted to had like a peaked interest, had was looking for something. It was just like here's the information, like and everybody was like, "What do you have for me?" And I was like, "More videos." Like
Yeah, take them.
take all of these videos, like and yeah, that I mean, that's a mistake. It definitely is a mistake. Um, and a lot of people do it now. A lot of people still do it. I still do it to an extent. Um, and there's kind of like a sliding scale in general.
Mm.
Like people will say it was like social media and training, like you're either a really bad trainer and you're really good at social media and like the scales go like that. But I think there's also like how good you are at social media and like how good you are at like selling and building a business and it generally is it's moves the same way. So it's it's an interesting thing to kind of think about, but that was the thing in thinking about what I would have done 50 weeks ago in terms of doing things with that many eyeballs on my page, but it's just now it's building the system. So if that happens again, then like there's systems to capture opportunity.
Mm. Mm. That's I guess that's the way that you're going to learn from that as well. Like you're hopefully you don't make the same mistake twice, and you're ready you're ready with the fishing net to pick up all the pieces. Do you think that with yourself as a coach, you'll stick at just um, you'll choose to do just online, or are you still like you want to be that in-person coach more than anything?
No, I still think in person is way more fun. Like if it was a case of like, all right, you're making X amount of money online a month, you don't have to work anything else anymore. Like business is self-sufficient. Like the thing that I would do was probably coach people in person, like just to fill my time. So it's it's not super different. It's just an easier thing to scale, help more people online. So yeah, I mean, coaching in person is still number one, but in terms of like grabbing an opportunity, like online is definitely there. So that's the way I think about it.
Would you ever want to travel? Would you want to travel and like um, explore the opportunity of presenting to people like the skills that you've learned or the knowledge that you have, or whether it's doing events or traveling across the world, or has that ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, maybe after I learn things for another 10 years or so, but
Yeah.
I don't I don't I don't think I have enough knowledge right now to go on a world tour with. So it's it would be a cool thing to do in the future, but it's not something that I'm like, that's not my goal to be like, all right, I want to get to I want to have sport performance events everywhere. Not something that I'm like looking to build. So would be
Yeah,
interesting though. I
yeah,
like going to events, so
yeah, yeah. I mean, you having already been to like quite a number of ATG events, you would have seen like the quality of the event, and then like also how you'd want to sort of recreate, not recreate it, but create it in a way that's sort of your own. Not that it has to be an ATG event, but like it's a SCAR event or whatever it might be. With with the like the knowledge side of things, and then I guess also the online side of things as well, what would you say would be like the first thing that you would kind of want people, or not what you would want, what you would suggest people do if they were to sort of get started in that sort of that online process? Like, is it having systems in place, or is it just sort of presenting knowledge, what they deem knowledgeable, their own knowledge, to be able to help people? What's sort of one of the first things that you would get them to do, you'd suggest they do?
I think you should be good at something first. Like before you go online, like I think you should have some sort of experience in something. Like for me, it wasn't necessarily that I trained a whole bunch of people when I started, but like I'd spent the last 8 years doing everything I can to learn how to be a better athlete and better soccer player. So like that's a fair amount of experience that I could share. And then the ATG stuff I've been doing for a year or so. So I had a decent grasp on that. I could share that as well, and like kind of across the intersection there. And I mean, some of the people I've talked to with social media, it's like there's not like a defining characteristic for a lot of people. Like you played soccer at a high level as well, and you've trained a bunch of people, so you have things that you can share with people and help people with. But there's people that are 18, 19, 20, didn't spend a long time playing a sport, maybe went to school for training and then have some ideas they learned from somebody. Like you don't really have anything to share that somebody else isn't already sharing, to be fair. So
Mm.
like work for a while and find sort of like what you're good at, what you have differently, like what's important for you to share, and then run with that for sure. I mean, not that you can't just start, but like if you're just regurgitating what somebody else is saying in like in a lesser version, then it's kind of like what's the point of this? Unless you think you're good enough at selling that you can just get online clients like that. If you're good enough at packaging it, then like cool, by all means. I'm not trying to like tell people not to start working online, but it's exponentially more difficult if you haven't done something in the past.
Mm.
So
Yeah, yeah. I guess just do the thing that you've been working on for a long period of time, and then if not, find what that thing is, and then start doing it. Like the other thing too with your videos, this is probably a conversation we had maybe 6 months ago. Like with when you were doing quite a number of Instagram videos, you kind of looked at who you liked listening to, and then almost mimicked that, but in your own way. Like you were talking about how, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you were looking at Ben's videos, you're like, I really like the way that Ben does his videos. I'm gonna borrow what he's done, or the way that he explains it, but then sort of turn it into my own way, because the people who follow you don't necessarily follow Ben either. If we're looking for more traffic on Instagram, as an example.
yeah, that was the style thing more than anything else. Like that was how the camera's set up, how he's talking, how he's moving, what he's doing, all of those things, and less of like I there was a pretty significant influence of the actual video subjects, but that wasn't because I was trying to copy his videos. It was because like he taught me a whole bunch of stuff that I used and was applicable for me. Um, so like absolutely, I still think people should do that. Like that would be like if you didn't do that, it'd be like you're watching Messi or Ronaldo or Mbappe, how they play, and you're like, I don't really want to copy them. I'd like to make my own style. Like that's a pretty dumb idea. Like that they're the best. Like do what they do, and then like you can build your game around other things as well. But like not grabbing from the best people at it, like is kind of a stupid thing to do. Like if there's something that all of the biggest people on the platform do, like you should probably be doing it because it means it works. And if there's
Mm.
like things that some people do and other people don't, then it's like take it or leave it whether or not it works for you. But if everybody's doing it and everybody does big bold captions on the screen that people can read, like you should probably be doing that. It's just the way it works.
Mm. I remember some of your first videos that you did really really long time ago. I reckon there was a little bit of Italian in the review. You're like, what are you doing? Like, what? Don't do that. Like, I remember the way that you would like you would move your hands. It made me laugh, and like I know that you didn't mean that. I think that was kind of like a default that you went to. It was like, don't do like like train this way, do this, and like the hands were moving. I'm like, I'm mesmerized by his hands.
I think that was me. I I remember making the videos and sometimes they would be like flat, like just bored. Like I wasn't like entertaining on the camera and I had to find a way to like be louder, be more expressive, like do things that were interesting and like project my voice. And like for some reason, as I got more like energetic and talked louder, like the hands started moving. It it's like energy, yeah, hand movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
It it probably still kind of happens, but it's now it's just like cameras on, like I just talking to the camera like I do.
Yeah, and you've developed that the coordination almost with the camera because some people so like even when I first started like you're talking to a camera but you're not necessarily talking to a camera, you're talking to like this wide range or variety of people. It's not like it's just you're speaking to a camera, although it feels like because you actually are speaking to a camera but you need to speak to other people. And so it is very, very challenging for you now. I'm sure you just flick the camera on. It's like, right, I'm talking to this particular person in this particular place. And it's like, and you probably don't even think about that either. You just do it and it makes it sound like you are speaking that way.
Yeah, I for a long time it was weird like talking to a camera, but like now it's just I had to like at first get over the weirdness of talking to a camera and then kind of get it to talking normally and then have talking to a normal camera be normal. And now it's just like the camera's on and it's whatever. Like, spent so many out. I've talked to a camera probably more than anybody else in the last 2 years. Um, so it's like not. It's very very normal for me now. I don't. I really don't think I talk any differently than when I talk normally versus when I talk on the camera. It used to be way different, and that's when I've coached a lot of people. It's like you have to talk the same way normally as you do when you talk to the camera because it's so easy to tell. Maybe that's just me seeing it for myself and how I changed. But I think people can tell whether they can subconsciously tell or not, or whether they can consciously tell. I think subconsciously they know like this is off somehow. Like nobody actually talks like that. And I see it all the time still. So it's you can get over it by doing 1,000 videos, or you can get over it faster by like consciously thinking about like, does that sound natural? No. How would I say that if I was talking to somebody in person?
Yeah, and it's almost like sometimes the camera comes on and then you just everything's in your brain, and then there's like the flick, the camera turns on, and then flick, your brain just fades, and then you just turn into like this robot version of yourself and like try and be someone that you're not. And I see it all the time too. And even for me, like I see it as well when I do it myself. You freak out for some, I don't know what it is. It's for some reason you freak out. It probably even happened with like the start of the podcast as well. You turn into this completely different person because you just like, you think that you need to sound all smart and curious and everything like that. And it's like, man, just fucking talk. Like you don't need to, that's what podcasts are. You listen to like the best podcasts in the world. It's not like they're, I mean, depending on who they are, I guess, but depending on what they're talking about. But it's not like they're talking in this completely different way. They're just being themselves. I mean, you can look at Joe Rogan as an example. And for the first, I don't know how many episodes, what was it, first 1,000 episodes or first 500 episodes before it just kind of like blew up, and it was just him talking with his mates. You know, it wasn't like they were. And now, obviously, he gets people on, and it's different. And that's probably the extreme example because he is probably the most viewed or listened to podcast in the world. So, like, I guess you got to look at the best anyway. So, want to be the best, but you try and perform in a way that's like it's not you, it's not you at all. But you can't help that because it's like your default, you know.
Yeah, I mean and I think it's the same way with that. Like you could tell when somebody's like holding back on something or like acting a little weird. You're like that. This just feels a little bit odd, and then you don't want to watch it, whatever. Like people could tell. Like I don't. Again, like whether consciously or subconsciously, like if you're being weird, like you're being weird, and people will know. So it's like Ben Patrick. It didn't feel weird the first time I met Ben in person, or like whenever I've seen Ben in person, because he's the same Ben that's on camera. Like he's quirky on camera, but he's also like quirky in person. So it's like the same person. And I hope that people feel that same way about me. Like you're like, oh, that's still the same guy that's on Instagram. It's not like two different people. And I think generally when you see the biggest people, it works like that. It was the same way with Keegan and a couple other guys. So I think that's how it works, and that's the most effective way.
Well, it's just you're trying to be who you are and just putting it on to the screen, and that's pretty much it. But I guess you wouldn't have thought it would be that hard to do. Like you wouldn't have thought that it's like all of a
It's
sudden
tremendously hard.
Yeah. Definitely, it's really really challenging. And you try and you're probably thinking like this particular person wants to hear me sound like that, but it's like no, they just want you to hear you as yourself. Like they don't want you to hear you in any other way. And you get yeah, you do get caught. And I think what you said is true as well. Like there's either you do 100 or 1,000 videos, and you just slowly become better and better at doing those videos over time. Or I don't think there's anything else. Like off the top of my head, there's no other way that you can kind of do it. It's like practice it, and it'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's like you can get guidance on different things so that you focus on like improving this aspect. But if you make 1,000 videos, eventually you'll fall into them like this worked and this didn't work the last 15 times I did each of them. I should probably start doing this one more. Or like you could just start with the right one from the beginning. And if it doesn't work, then you do the other one. But like you can get set off on the proper path better. So I think that's what happened with me watching Ben's video. It's like, all right, these are things that should probably work, and then they worked, and I didn't have to like mess around and try other things that didn't work. So it's like I've seen people try crazy caption colors and like random things like that and doing odd stuff on screen. It's like I don't think that works. And I never tried it because I didn't see anybody that whose videos I liked try to do that and have it work. So yeah, for me, you can fast track if you have somebody who's helping you or watching somebody who's better than you. But you can get there anyway if you just do sheer volume and are constantly going back and seeing what worked and what didn't.
I mean, a good example of that at the moment as well, who I've seen is just constantly putting content out, is Sam Breinstein from New Jersey. Like,
Yeah.
and he's doing an epic job. And I'm just sitting there like looking, and he's making them like, I've never met him, but I'm sure that he is that type of person in real life. You have, so you can say whether he is or he isn't. But the way that he's developing videos is like, it's kind of like he's always putting time aside to doing them and creating this content. And the content he's creating, like I think it's quite good. I think it's very, very informative. It's got like a lot of him in there, as in like, not obviously it's got him in there, his person, but like his personality's in there as well. So he's definitely I think anyway, it's one of the first people for me that comes to mind if we're talking about like an ATG space, or like a helping sort of space in terms of fitness and that.
Yeah. I mean, he is exactly who you would imagine after seeing him on screen. It's hilarious. It's so funny. He's a crazy dude. But yeah, no, I mean, he is putting out a commendable amount of content. I did a couple of reels with him a while back, but um yeah, I mean he just shoots content out. It's unbelievable. I'm not exactly sure how he actually makes that many videos. But the same thing I've kind of been watching with Alex Hormozy, and like they have been, I don't know if you followed this, but they have been creating this like whole web of content in
Mm.
all kinds of different spheres. Like I think Alex and Layla both have like three different YouTube channels now. And like all of this stuff is getting put on Instagram, and there's other Instagram pages, and there's YouTube, and there's like a day in the life thing, and there's a workout with Stan Efferding and some business talk, and there's still the long YouTube videos. Now there's short videos, and there's lifestyle, and like Jesus, man, like that is unbelievable how much content that guy is putting out, or I guess the both of them are putting out. Um, and I mean, it works. Like it absolutely works, and it's also like he built $100 million business beforehand. So then it was just like a matter of getting these ideas to as many people as possible in the most digestible way possible. And like if he were to do it on his own, like this would take forever. But if you spend a whole bunch of money to build a great team, which probably nets quite a bit more money than they actually spend. I'm sure it nets 100 times more than they spend, but then it takes like this long to just so.
Yeah.
And there's other skill sets to go into it in terms of like selling and talking to a camera and presenting and all of that, but still like that's like Sam is doing an awesome job in the micro level. This is just peak peak performance. Like absolute like couldn't do it better or faster, I don't think.
Yeah, the Hormozy stuff is insane. Like for him to be able to generate that much content, and it's like every single day there is something. If I'm just open up Instagram, it's like there's his head and that beautiful beard again, and it's something different. And then the next day it's something else, and then the next day it's something, and it's like he does an awesome job at it's never him sitting, when it's always him sitting in the chair, and so it's him talking about these experiences that he's had, these things that he's done, and then then there's another video where he's in the gym, or then there's another video where he's somewhere else, and it's like it's constantly changing, but he's kept those sort of things the same in terms of like the things that he's doing, like when he's at the gym, like the things that he's talking about there. Like see, I don't even know why, but I remember him carrying around the bloody the bag that's used for
Oh,
like
like
tools and
the DeWalt bag or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just functional and it works. And then there's the shoes that he wants to what do you call them? The Mosey something. He wants to make these sandal things. Like, and why is that in my brain? I don't know. Like, and why do I think of that when I think of Alex Hormozy? But he's just done such a good job at infiltrating people's subconscious so that like that is just always there. It's like it's sitting in people's mind, or sitting in my mind anyway, and it's just sitting there waiting for something to come up and come out. He does an amazing job. Amazing job.
Yeah. And I mean that they have an opportunity to make a ridiculous amount of money on social media now. And like 99 or 99.99999% of people are never gonna make any reasonable amount of money for Alex Hormozy, like other than like 99 cents or whatever. But like that 0.00001% like will each net 10 to $50 million for him. So like if you were to talk about high ticket sales, like that's high ticket sale. And just having, I mean, he's talked about it briefly a couple times, like just this ridiculous inflow of companies that want to be a part of acquisition.com, and they just turn most of them down. And it's like, man, if he just wanted to make money, like he could just take all of those companies and just, but just the way he wants it is probably the smarter way. So that's how you make money on social media.
Mm. Mm. Where do you see yourself? heading on into the halfway point of the year, what do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself at in terms of business perspective, physical perspective, in the gym, on the footy fields? Like, where do you see yourself at the end of the year? What's the goals? What's the trajectory looking like for Matthew Score?
I don't know. I still want to get my dunk. I want to get my dunks this year. I haven't really been putting any effort into them until like last week. So I think I still want to get the dunks in this year, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll open up a gym this year. I haven't totally decided yet where it's going. Right now, it's just about getting one system in place to run with for a year. So, and getting it to a point where all of the back end work is done, and then just spend the rest of the time helping people and promoting. So that's the goal right now, and then just spend the rest of the year convincing people to let me help them. Which sounds like a hilarious thing, but like that's exactly what it is. Like, how could I convince you to let me make your life better? Um, which is like sounds self-centered and sounds sort of egotistical and weird like that, but I mean that's really what it is and what sales is. So I don't know. That's sort of a non-answer to your question, but where
Gives it,
yeah, give it a little
gives it,
bit, just enough
yeah,
of a taste. Where's
yeah,
what's the next 6 months look like for you now? Obviously, you've got a new team member to
yeah.
brainstorm with, but
Yeah, man. Like, and like I said at the start, my wife has been an absolute warrior, and Florence has been and still is. They both still are, and always will be amazing. And like the amount of joy you get from someone who cries and doesn't want to sleep sometimes and shits all over the place and throws up on you, I don't know, maybe once or twice a day, gives you this different perspective of what love truly is, like, without going too Jay Shetty on you, but like, or too deep. It gives you this drive to, like, and this purpose almost. Like, I'm doing this for me, but like, because it is for selfish reasons. If I'm not working at my best, how am I supposed to be the best for my family? And I've really started to recognize that more and more now. And for me, like, it's about obviously being the best, what I believe the best father is, can be, best father, best husband, best friend, best podcaster, best trainer. Like, that's it. Ultimately, that's the trajectory I'm heading on. Is that's what I see and that's what I want. And for me, it is like, so I am opening a gym, I am opening a space and putting things in place now to be able to make that happen, because it needs to happen. And then from there, like, opening it and then just running with it and doing whatever it takes to make that a success. So then we can start to spread more of what I believe is positive in the world with ATG, and helping people become stronger, become more athletic, more explosive, powerful, in control of what their lives are like. Because I think that's one thing that people don't have, is control of what they want to do and where they want to go. And like, I don't have control at the moment in a lot of things that I don't want to do, because I do have a young or a newborn, and I do have a wife that sometimes stresses out a little bit, because there's things that she really wants to do, and it's so hard being a mother. Like, the dad's got the easy end at the moment, like, because of the amount of times that Ruby has to wake up in the night, or the amount of times that it's just her and Florence, like, that's it, So I understand that, and I get that, and I try and be as present as possible to help that transition for her. But you can't use that chaos or lack of control as an excuse. And it's almost like, use it as an opportunity to be able to propel yourself to whatever it is that you want to do and where you want to go. And like I said, I'm living that at the moment. So I know that it's doable, and I know that it can be done. It's just a matter of actually, exercising that and doing it. So yeah, for me, it's opening the gym, spreading the word of ATG, almost turning into one of Ben's disciples, and presenting it to people and showing people that, like, this is what it's done for me, this is what it will do for you. Even obviously all the clients that I have here, they're from really young to really old, like showing them that it can be done and you can do it, and the way that it's scalable and the way that we can make it all work for you. So there's that. There's working back to being able to play football. Like, that is still sitting there in my subconscious, like at the back here. I've still got that itch and that urge to want to go play again. And there's still a lot that I need to do, like to be able to get back to that level. Like, I can't see me returning yet. Like, I can't see that yet, but I can see the path that I need to take and continue to go on to be able to get there. So yeah, there's a couple of things in there.
There we go. Maybe we leave it there. Where can everybody support you on the on those couple things?
Support us at Coach Carly with the 3 eyes on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you are in Adelaide, come and see us, like, and not necessarily for a session. I mean, come and train with me. You don't have to. It's not about making money for me. It's about spreading the word. Like, I'll train with you happily. So if you want to come train, even if you are living in Australia and you're coming down to Adelaide for a little bit, let us know. We'll hit up a session together and we'll get you feeling strong and athletic. How about you, man?
Yeah, Score Performance on Instagram. Or if you're in, I guess, yeah, in the same way. If you're in Indiana, let me know. We'll figure something out. We'll because Indy and Adelaide aren't particularly close together, so we'll stay out of each other's hair there, I guess. All right, if you made it this far, we appreciate you staying for this long, and we'll see everybody next week.
See you guys.